There's this question that's just burning at the heart of the NBA right now. It really makes you question the integrity of the whole game. Are teams actually losing on purpose? And what does that mean for you, the fan, who pays your hard-earned money for a ticket? This is the NBA's tanking controversy.
And that quote from Vinnie Goodwill, man, that really gets to the soul of this whole debate, doesn't it? This goes way beyond just team strategy. For the fans, the people actually in the arena, it can feel like a direct insult. It's that feeling of being cheated out of the one thing you came for, a real competitive basketball game.
So, okay, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. What exactly is tanking? Well, it's pretty much a strategic decision that losing a game today is more valuable than winning it. The logic, believe it or not, is simple. The worse your team's record is, the better your odds are of landing that one single franchise-altering superstar in the NBA draft. And just think about what that really means for the fans. I mean, people are shelling out up to $2,000 for a single courtside seat, hoping to see their heroes play their hearts out, only to maybe watch a team that has zero interest in actually winning that night. That is a very tough pill to swallow.
So what's the solution? How do we fix this?
Well, there are a few big ideas floating around out there.
The first one isn't about, blowing up the entire system. It's more about trying to sand down its sharpest edges. It's a more moderate approach. Let's just fix the lottery we already have.
So Vinnie Goodwill proposes this really clever two-step plan. First up, you lock in the lottery odds at the season's halfway point. All of a sudden, all those kind of meaningless late-season games, they have stakes again, because losing them gives you no extra reward. And second, you can't be rewarded for being terrible year after year after year. If a team gets a top 3 pick, bam, they're ineligible for another one the following season.
And the whole philosophy here is pretty simple, right? The draft is supposed to help bad teams improve and create a competitive balance across the league. This reform, it aims to keep that spirit alive while just surgically removing the incentive to deliberately throw games. It's really all about finding that balance.
But what if just tweaking the system isn't enough? Some people argue that as long as the draft exists, so will the temptation to tank. And that leads us to a much, much more radical solution. What if we just got rid of the draft entirely? It's a bold idea. I mean, it's almost a shocking idea from David Dennis Jr., but the logic is just ruthlessly direct. The draft is the reason tanking exists in the first place. So if you take away the ultimate prize for having the worst record, you take away the entire reason to lose on purpose. Simple as that. And if you look at this, you can see that abolishing the draft would cause this massive power shift. Right now, the system rewards a losing organization by giving it total control over a young player's career. But without a draft, that entire power dynamic flips. The player gets to choose their own destiny, and teams are forced to build a competent, attractive, winning culture to convince top talent to actually sign with them. So how would this even work, right? Well, rookies would enter the league as free agents, able to sign with any team they want. Now, before you start screaming, they'll all just sign with the Lakers or the Heat. The NBA has these incredibly complex salary cap rules, and specifically, there's this mechanism called the second apron that acts as a guardrail. It makes it financially crippling, if not totally impossible, for one rich team to just scoop up all the best young players. Okay, so we've looked at reforming the rules, and we've looked at completely abolishing them, but both of those solutions focus on the system. There's a third argument, one that's passionately made by Stephen A. Smith, that says the problem isn't the rules, it's the rulers. The owners. For Stephen A. Smith, this isn't a problem with coaches or general managers just following incentives. No, this is an ownership problem. He argues that the only way to get billionaire owners to change their behavior is to threaten the one thing they truly care about, their bottom line, their pocket. And to really drive this point home, he tells this fascinating, almost unbelievable story from the NFL that he believes perfectly captures the unique psychology of a billionaire sports owner. So, a few years back, thanks to these massive TV deals, every single NFL owner received a check from the league for, wait for it, $246 million apiece. I mean, that is just a mind-boggling, staggering amount of money. But they were reportedly complaining. Complaining, why? Because they calculated that if it wasn't for the whole Colin Kaepernick controversy, the check would have been $250 million. They were genuinely upset about the $4 million they didn't get. And there it is. There's the lesson. It's not about the hundreds of millions they already have. It's about the perceived losses. So Stephen A's point is that if the league starts hitting owners with massive, multi-million-dollar fines for tanking, that's the kind of loss that will get their immediate attention and force a real change in behavior.
Okay, so after exploring all of this, reforming, abolishing, or punishing, the conversation takes one final critical turn. And it poses a really important question. While we're all sitting here arguing about tanking, are we even focused on the biggest problem?
Because there's this growing belief that another practice in the NBA is actually far more detrimental to the fan experience, far more insulting than a bad team losing games to try and rebuild for the future. And that practice is load management. This is when a good team, a championship contender, decides to sit its perfectly healthy superstars. You buy that expensive ticket months in advance to see the best players on the planet, and they don't even suit up, simply because they're resting for the playoffs.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final question, one for you to think about. What's worse for the fan who paid to be there? A bad team trying to lose to secure a brighter future, or a great team that just chooses not to try with its best players on any given night? Which one is truly more disrespectful to the game?